सजना चले कहाँ तुम विनती करी तेरी पाँव पड़े तोरे कितना मनाया फिर भी नहीं सुनी रे छोड़ के कहाँ चले रे। घिरत रात अंधेरा डरावे लोहित मोहे रुलावे पंछी अकेला सुना है बसेरा बाट तकत तुरे आवन की छोड़ के कहाँ चले।
As we continued our journey into Manipur, we were enveloped with stunning beauty of milk grey clouds, green blue hills. The Manipuri's inspiration arises from the wondrous balance of the flora and fauna that abound in its environs. Almost 70% of the land is under forest cover. The stunning combination of wet forests, temperate forests, and pine forest sustain a host of rare and endemic plant and animal life. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Netaji played his role during the last crucial 25 years of the Indian liberation movement. He based his politics on a searching and scientific analysis of Indian history and Indian polity since ancient times, and particularly an objective study of British conquests. Such study revealed to him the true nature of British imperialism in all its aspects and led him to the conclusion that the fundamental interests of the Indian people in colonial subjugation and those of British imperialism were irreconcilable, and therefore any adjustment or compromise between the two was impossible. This is the route that the great Subhash Chandra took, gathering an army which was called the Indian National Army, or the INA. With his colleagues, he formed the INA in 1942, and the Great March began.
पथ विश्व तिलक किए सुधा।
सांझ ढली
भूल जा
अपनी जननी करे करुण निरवना
महाबाहु पुण्यभूमि महामिलन धर्मों का शाश्वत पथ विश्व तिलक प्रेम की सुधा
महाबाहु पुण्यभूमि महामिलन धर्मों का शाश्वत पथ विश्व तिलक प्रेम किए सुधा
संतरी माला खड़ा सागर चरण धोई गंगा सिंधु लोहित सकल जीवन बोई चले जो मलय पवन तो पल बने मधुर रसीले कुसुमित हरियाली बिछी डगर डगर सगरे स्वर्ण भूमि जन्म भूमि तुम ही मेरी जननी मेरे नयन मेरा ये मन करे तेरी पूजा महाबाहु पुण्य भूमि महामिलन धर्मों का शाश्वत पथ विश्व तिलक
The Provisional Government of Free India and the Indian National Army founded by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose in 1943 outside India's borders launched India's last struggle against the alien rulers under the banner of that government for the emancipation of our motherland India and hastened India's freedom. With the overwhelming support of nearly 3 million Indians in East Asia, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, one of the most illustrious sons of India, waged war with full faith in final victory for India's independence against the British to supplement the heroic, unarmed and unequal war of the people inside India under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. It was in Moirang, exactly at this spot, that the flag of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's Indian National Army was first raised on Indian soil. That was in the year 1944, and Netaji's INA marched through Manipur from Burma when the flag was hoisted here on April 14th, 1944. We have now entered Red Hill. Red Hill is the site of the Peace Memorial funded by the Japanese government, which pays an ode to all the martyrs, soldiers who died during the Second World War. These stones that are erected here talk of the brave sacrifice the soldiers made when they laid down their lives. The British rulers had earlier tortured some people, in retaliation to which the bungalow of the British officer was set on fire. The British, as a punishment, ordered the male members of Imphal to go to the Kabau Valley, which is now in Myanmar, to rebuild the government bungalow. The womenfolk said this was impossible, and such was the turnout of women that the British were compelled to withdraw the order within 24 hours. This women's uprising was called Nupi Lal in the Meitei language. The second Nupi Lal was in 1939. It was in protest against a British policy of exporting rice when Manipur was already suffering from food scarcity. The second Nupi Lal, which occurred in 1939, is today observed as the Nupi Lal Day every year on December 12th as a mark of respect to the indomitable spirit of Manipuri women. As the sun goes down and darkness gradually takes over, a strange sight meets the eye. This group of women with torches are called Myra Paibi, and they keep a vigil from 9 in the night to the stroke of midnight. In 1975, the women of Manipur organized a Nashabandi movement against liquor, which compelled the government to declare Manipur as a dry state. The most interesting institution that the women of Manipur have developed over the decades is Myra Paibi. Manipur is one state of northeast India which has been badly affected by insurgency and militancy for several decades. While this led to deployment of armed forces to control the situation, there were a number of incidents of alleged atrocities by the armed forces on the women. While young boys were often picked up on suspicion that they had links with the militant groups, the elderly women of the respective localities came out with lamps and bamboo torches and acted as society's watchdogs.
Army special power ek lai banina masida army sina mara laitaba micham pharga mafam rang khangan daba adagi leba ki territorial integrity kai ba torok pada koi khara thengna ba ngamna ba kino adagi leba ki hu irang adagi mayam si horok pada lekai da ni sa sa ba ki do da khara thengba ngamna ba ina khim jabani
koina suguma phagong thoda kaya sida koina putta mera paiduna ngakthok na ba sali ahin ding khangda da ma koina koigi duty duty puguna dum sali
koina smaina khutta mera paiduna sala ka sida khangdaba mayam ta da mayam su tabire sarkar na su tabire loina ma khangbire
koina sumna khutta maira paiduna hing nungdin naidun sasaba sida akoigi praja singi puning da leiriba lamdam state army special power action lokthok khibada bharat phasagi mafam khuding makta tabi ba khangbi ba akoigi paujen je leibak sarat sinba thungna yohna ba khona bada maten pangbina ba ina khoi smai chachaba semjaba dagi procession dina koina smai khangbi regadi sarkar na su kaigumba mari ene authority da army da karida wakat khanaba lokthokina ba khanaba kaidawa mateng pangnaba eno taw mateng pangnaba honabada chachabani adagi koina sumna phammaga hanjalakpada nungdangda phammada laikai sida leiba aukshanaba kaidawa mayamje koina control khitang tawjaba ngamnaba nisa chaba ngauksanaba mayamje jo koina khitang ngakchaba ngamnaba asum lambida pupa ngamnaba honabada mateng pangnaba tawjabani
mara te mi ke phagra ju khoi ni sa mera pa me am changa thok pa ko bom lohba dagidi army ki khutta gi jo khoina kitang kanjau da mateng oina ba khoina mera pa bi sumna link khachabani
We are now going to the sports complex in Imphal. The Khoman Lampak Sports Complex is a very large stadium and hosts several games, several athletes, and several forms of sports. Here we are, seeing teenagers going on an early morning jog towards the sports complex, building up and warming up for the day's activities. Here are the children warming up before the main activities of each singular sport begins. A wondrous sight meets our eyes. The girls and the boys practicing together, equals on the sports field. The coaches are also both men and women. There is so much of friendship, camaraderie, and bonhomie on the field. Truly a feeling of sport. Here we attended a karate class. Look at the kicks and the jerks and the jumps. What energy! Wow! Such a spring in one step. This is youth. This is the beginning of life. It's almost like ballet. Such energy, such electricity in the atmosphere. One can see that children are encouraged right from the age of 5 upwards. Manipur holds the first position in sports among all the northeastern states. And that's the reason why the government of Manipur is investing so much of its funds into the encouragement of sports of every kind for both genders, men and women. Archery, another interesting sport. Once again, boys and girls indulge in archery together. Manipur has produced a galaxy of sportswomen who have brought a large number of gold medals for India from various international competitions. Boating is one of the sports highlights of Manipur. Most of these young boys are training themselves to fit into the forthcoming Olympics. And one can bet that they are going to win. Look at the strength of both the boy and the girl and the speed with which they are moving. All our prayers and blessings that they turn out to become Olympic winners in the future. And then there is Thang Yanaba, the traditional sword fight. Sword fighting, an ancient martial art form, practiced even today by both men and women with equality and ease. Just notice how swift yet poetic the movements are. Kunjarani Devi, Sanamacha Shanu, MC Mary Kom. So many of them who have brought glory to India, all emanate from Manipur. Gymnastics, bordering on ballet and dance. My God, every kind of sport. Look at these young children. What leaps and jumps. Cheers to the youth. Wait. That's not the end of sports in Manipur. It is in fact in Manipur from where the British picked up this wonderful sport called polo and gifted it to the world. In the Meitei language, polo is known as Sogol Kangje. Manipuri folklore and stories passed down from one generation to another, depicting the lives and activities of demigods who used to play this game. While the British, who picked up this sport about 150 years ago, refined it to fit into the Western world, the Manipuris are not bothered to refine it. They continue to play polo, their dear Sogol Kangjai, in the crude traditional form, and they're proud of it. In fact, the Manipuris have one advantage in playing polo. The Manipuri breed of horses is small and looks unassuming, but they're very fast, and thus add speed to a game of polo. And as darkness envelops Manipur, we say goodbye.
सजना चले कहाँ तुम विनती करी तेरी पाँव पड़े तोरे कितना